Hi guys, and welcome to another one of Mr. Oshodi's Snapchat science lessons. Today what we're going to be looking at is differentiation and stem cells. Now, by the end of this session, what we want to be able to do is we want to really be able to define that term stem cells. We want to be able to decide and state where do we use these stem cells and why are they important. And then at the end, and working towards an AA star grade, we want to be able to evaluate the advantages and disadvantages of stem cells. So, if we're talking about cells, and don't forget guys, thinking back to those first two videos that we did, mitosis and meiosis, we was talking about cell division, okay? One cell divided to make 2 in mitosis, and one cell divided to make 4 gametes in meiosis. Now, cell differentiation is what we want to go on to look at now. So, cell differentiation is the process of a cell becoming specialized. A cell now getting its role that it's going to carry out. So, what I want you guys to think about is how many different cells in the body can you name? I'm going to pause for 10 seconds and then I'm going to show you a few. So, how many different types of cells in the body can you name? Excellent. So let me just give you some quick examples. And now these cells are specialized cells. So, for example, we have got our muscle cells. We have got some cardiac cells or our heart cells. We've got some red blood cells. We can see some gametes over here, so a sperm cell. We've got the other gametes, our egg cells, okay? We've got some nervous system cells or our neurons, etc. Okay? And we really want to look at how did these cells become specialized. Now, before a stem cell becomes specialized, it has the ability to change into any type of cell. And these cells are known as stem cells. So what is a stem cell? It is a cell that has not become differentiated yet. A cell that is not special because it has not got its unique job yet, okay? So, there are 2 types of stem cells that you need to know about for the purpose of your exam. The first one is our embryonic stem cells. You also need to know where our embryonic stem cells can be found. It's in the name, embryonic stem cells are found in embryos. Now later on we're going to go on to some ethical issues of using embryonic stem cells, but just hold that thought, okay? Now, embryonic stem cells can divide or specialize or, keyword, differentiate into any type of cell in the body. They are really special, okay? Now, we're going to compare our embryonic stem cells with our adult stem cells. Now, adult stem cells are good, okay? They can differentiate into different types of cells, but they're not as great as our embryonic stem cells. As adult stem cells can only differentiate into a few set amount of cells. For example, stem cells which are found in the adult bone marrow can usually only differentiate into other types of blood cells, okay? They can't go on to become a muscle cell, for example. So that's what we're looking at, okay? The comparison between our embryonic and our adult stem cells. So bear that in mind, guys. So, what I want to do is take a quick pause. I want you guys to name me the 2 types of stem cells that we've looked at, where do we find them, and what are the differences between the 2? Excellent. Little pause there. So guys, let's look at our embryonic stem cells, okay? As we said, they can differentiate, specialize into all types of cells. So for example, we have some red blood cells, okay? We have some gametes, okay? Or white blood cells. We have our muscle cells. These cells are really the cells that can go on and change into any type of cell. Okay, so guys, remember that, and it's really important that we're able to do that comparison between these cells and our adult stem cells. Now, if we look at our adult stem cells, they cannot turn into the same amount of cells as our embryonic stem cells. Most adult stem cells are found in the adult bone marrow, okay? So, therefore, most adult stem cells can usually only go on and turn, as I said before, into different types of blood cells. Now, stem cells, how can they be used in medicine? How can they be used in the real world? There are treatments that stem cells can be used for. So, for example, making new brain cells. There is currently a lot of research going on into how stem cells, these undifferentiated cells, can go on to make brain cells. Next, we want to look at rebuilding bone and cartilage. How can these stem cells go on to build bone and cartilage, repairing the immune system, and the treatment of cardiac disease, for example, replacing heart valves. So there are really a lot of opportunities for us to use stem cells in medicine to be able to treat certain diseases. However, there are a lot of ethical issues going on at the moment in terms of the use of stem cells. And that's what we really need to look at, okay? You might get the advantages and disadvantages of using stem cells. Now, in a lot of countries, the use of stem cells is actually banned. Not only because we haven't fully got the effects of stem cells or how the effect that stem cells have on the body, but also because of the ethical issues. For example, the use of embryonic stem cells would be great to treat cardiac disease or diseases in the heart. However, you've got to think, where do those stem cells from an embryo come from? Okay, they come from, for example, abortion clinics. Some people and some religions think it's playing God. So we've really got to look at the ethical issue. Is it right to go on to use an embryo just for its stem cells? That could have gone on to become a new person. Okay, so really compare and evaluate the advantages and disadvantages of using stem cells. And for this reason, okay, there are loads of different things that we can use, but at the moment its use is only really done in research. Okay, in particular our embryonic stem cells. Now there are a list of questions on the board, hopefully you can see, if not they will be shared with you, okay, that I want you to go on and try and see if you can answer as part of your note taking, okay? So for example, define what a stem cell is, identify where embryonic stem cells come from, explain how stem cells are useful, summarize the advantages of embryonic stem cells, identify where adult stem cells come from, discuss the diseases that stem cell research could help, and contrast the advantages of embryonic stem cells to adult stem cells, and prepare an argument against the use of stem cell research, because there are a lot of people who campaign against the use of stem cell research. Now, the very last thing we want to look at, guys, is stem cells in plants. Now, stem cells in plants can be used for many different processes. For example, cloning a plant. Now, stem cells in plants are very different because those cells can go on to become any tissue that they want to be. So if we take a cutting of a plant, dip it in some rooting powder, okay, and plant it to grow, it can go on to become a whole new plant, which is an exact replica of that plant, okay? So guys, it's really important that we remember those points. Hopefully by now, you're an expert on stem cells. You can compare the disadvantages and advantages of embryonic versus adult stem cells, and you're now coming to lesson ready to attack those exam questions. Mr. Oshodi, signing out.